Hello, welcome. I'm making this video as an open message to Jeremy Crawford of Wizards of the Coast. It's also for you, for everybody who happens to be watching this video, though I am going to be addressing it as though to Mr. Crawford. He is the lead rules designer and the managing editor of Dungeons & Dragons, so essentially the leader of official D&D. Mr. Crawford, I know there's not a great chance that you're even going to see this video, though I really do hope that you watch it, and I hope that it's somehow helpful. I spent some time watching some videos on the official Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel, videos with you in it, a lot of things to do with the current D&D 2024/2025 edition of the books. I spent some time thinking about, what might things be like from your perspective. And one thing that immediately struck me was how there must be a lot of pressure involved. This is D&D we're talking about, so it's a really big deal. A lot of people are invested in this game, both personally and financially. People are passionate about it. People have opinions about it. So I immediately recognize that that is a tremendous amount of responsibility and weight that must be on your shoulders. You mentioned in a recent video where you were talking about the new monster manual, how much you love monsters and how monsters are probably your favorite thing about the game, and that creating the new official monster manual was, the delight of delights, as you described it. So I can really relate to that. Monsters also have been a huge force of motivation, of creativity. That's how I even really got into D&D, was looking at the monster manuals at bookstores. So that's something that I really relate to. The more that I thought about it, all these different questions came into my head, questions that I would like to ask you. Like, if I could have a conversation with you, I would ask you things like, in your own campaigns, what official D&D rules do you change? And how does somebody who works on D&D day in and day out keep from getting burned out? Like, how do you sustain yourself in terms of your fulfillment, your life purpose when you work on D&D all the time? That's the kind of work that I do, though, of course, at a lower scale. And those are questions that I often ask myself, and I have to find solutions and grapple with them. I've been running this YouTube channel, this largely D&D based YouTube channel, for 15 years, since 2009. I'm the first dungeon tuber. So I've been around for a while, and there has to be something that sustains you and keeps the passion alive, and as well keeps the channel alive, keeps the brand alive. There's something that keeps you going. I understand that your position in the RPG sphere is much higher than mine. You are the king of D&D, and I am but a lowly bard who hates the goofy minstrel image that modern D&D has given bards. But despite the difference in our positions, I do sense there are some commonalities between being a creator of official D&D and being a content creator, a dungeon tuber. Official D&D is subject to the demands of a publicly traded corporation whose god is profit. And I am subject to the demands of an algorithm whose god is rage and narcissism. It's like this giant toddler who's the tyrant over YouTube. Though we are both leaders in our respective areas, we are also beholden to these demanding titans. And if we mess up too much, our very livelihoods are at stake. But there's more at stake than just that. There's more to this than just our jobs or our reputations. There's something incredibly deep that's at the root of adventure stories, something incredibly deep at the root of role-playing games. It's something of utmost value. It's like a treasure of treasures, and it's there at the heart of this. It's the reason why we love this kind of experience. It's the reason why we go through so much effort and spend so much time and energy and make sacrifices to ritualistically play this game. This game that's more than just a game. Mr. Crawford, I really hope this message reaches you. The heart and soul of RPGs is at risk. There is a war playing out, and I want to help. So there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of very real problems that exist. Here are a few of them. The image of Wizards of the Coast as a company and Dungeons & Dragons as a brand have been tarnished. A lot of people have been put off, they've been alienated, they have lost trust. A lot of people are upset. A lot of big names in the tabletop sphere have left D&D, and they've even gone on to work on their own games. Or how about the gaping hole that is in D&D? There's a massive void of people who have been put off or alienated by the direction that D&D has gone in. The old school type players, and even people that aren't even old school, they're just not whatever this new thing is. The classic fantasy, the more grounded and gritty and historical types of fantasy, the mythic style of fantasy, swords and sorcery, horror, dungeon crawling, the very foundation of what D&D was built upon is all but non-existent now. And what we have in its place is a kind of modernistic cosplay superheroes fantasy. Another big problem is that the lore and the world building of D&D have become an incoherent mess. Multiverse, and by that I mean modern Hollywood-style multiverse where different IPs and timelines and alternate realities and like a billion million infinite echoes of every single person all coexist. It's short-sighted, it's shallow, it's going to be impossible to make this function in the long run. It's just not stable enough. It's cluttered and ungainly, and it's ultimately kind of hollow. Multiverses are poison to storytelling. But there are solutions to these problems. Solutions truly are out there. And there are also opportunities to be seized from a business standpoint. And I mean doing it in the right way, in a way that earns people's trust, that provides them value, that is authentic. So building back trust in the brand, offering a product or a setting that does appeal to and provide for people that like classic fantasy, and getting some good lore and world building and characters put in place, something that wins people's hearts. Again, I would like to help. I'm putting the offer out there. I care so much about role-playing games, about adventure stories, about the fantasy genre, and about our collective of communities. In fact, what I'd like is just to play some D&D with you. I would love to run an adventure, to GM a game, and you could play in it. Could be a solo character, could be a group of friends or a party, and I highly suspect that it would be a great and memorable adventure. And for everybody who's watching, if you would like to help too, there are things you can do. I'm going to post a link to this video on X and tag Jeremy Crawford. Please share it and tag him as well. That's at Jeremy E. Crawford. Let's see if we can get his attention on this. Or if you'd like to support this cause, if you like these ideas, if what I'm saying is resonating with you, become a supporter of the channel over on Patreon or visit my online shop. I make 5e books and modules that are in this very vein, that capture the grounded yet mythic style, that are fleshing out a campaign setting that has a sense of internal consistency. Links for all of this are found down below, and thank you very much. So to Mr. Crawford and to all of you watching, thank you very much. I'm going to continue doing my very best, keep endeavoring to steward the heart and soul of mythic adventures, of role-playing games. I'm going to do everything I can to keep this torch burning bright. Until next time, everybody, may your adventures be many.